Rise and grind. The 5 whiskeys you must avoid. Let's get into the list. Here at Rise and Grind, we equip you with everything you need. What are the best whiskeys? What are the best wines? The best cigars? How can I accumulate wealth? Well, today, we want to tell you what to avoid. Now, this video is just done in fun, in jest. I'm going to list for you 5 whiskeys that I think you should avoid. Now, if it turns out that this is your favorite whiskey, just comment about it. Just hit dislike. I'm not challenging your way of life. I'm just trying to save a brother out there a bad purchase. All these whiskeys, I'm sure, is good to somebody, but I hated them. In fact, I don't even have any of these bottles. Whenever I do any reviews, it's always based on me having a full bottle, but in all these cases, I either just poured it down the sink or gave it away. And so I did not go out and buy these bottles just to show you, because I'm trying to tell you, you've got to avoid these bottles. Again, this is just in fun. Don't take it too seriously. The first whiskey that we've got to avoid is Buffalo Trace. Now, I'm talking about the flagship product. I love Eagle Rare. I love Blanton's. I'll chase after Antique 107. William LaRue Weller is the best bourbon ever made. But the standard Buffalo Trace is not good. Doesn't taste good. If you are 21 years old and this is your first time drinking bourbon, and you want to get a hint of what bourbon is supposed to taste like, you want to get a hint of fruit and molasses and brown sugar, you want to get a slight hint of what whiskey tastes like, then Buffalo Trace would be for you. Now, if you are over the age of 21 and you've had bourbon before, you've had Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, you've had Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof, you've had Old Forester 1920. If you are drinking serious bourbon, there is no way you can go back and drink Buffalo Trace. It's thin, it's flat, it's very hinty. It's a hint of what bourbon is. Now, I respect it. I cherish it, I honor it, because it set the stage. But if we're being honest with each other, Buffalo Trace does not taste good. And you can't mix it. You can't even add an ice cube to it. It's just too thin. It's 90 proof, but it's a very weak and thin 90 proof. And so the first whiskey to avoid is Buffalo Trace. Now, if you're still with us, if you haven't unsubscribed, if you haven't already checked out, the next, it also comes from Buffalo Trace, Sazerac Rye. This should come in a green bottle because it's alien, it's foreign, it's unidentifiable. I don't know if it's a rye or if it's a bourbon. It doesn't taste like anything. You cannot drink this seriously by itself. You can't add an ice cube to it because it doesn't have any depth to it. Now, there's a drink called a Sazerac Sidecar or something. I have no idea what that drink is supposed to taste like, because Sazerac Rye is such a foreign tasting item. It doesn't taste like rye, doesn't taste like bourbon, it doesn't taste like anything that tastes good. And so Sazerac Rye is the second whiskey that you should avoid. The third whiskey is Basil Hayden. Now, I call Basil Hayden the Arby's of whiskey. I have never in my life walked into an Arby's. And I've never seen anyone walking into an Arby's. Now, if you love Arby's, then comment and let me know that there are people out there who eat Arby's. I see the commercials, but I have never seen a person say, hey, let's go and get some Arby's. But yet, I imagine it's a billion-dollar company. Basil Hayden. I've never seen a person say, let's have some Basil Hayden. But yet, they're on the shelves. I'll tell you my Basil Hayden story. I just bought a house, was moving, everything's packed up, headed to the new house. And so this was going to be our last night at our old house. All the boxes are gone. It's a completely empty house. But that's where we've got to sleep that night. And so I say, let me go get me a bottle. But I realize everything has been shipped out. So I go to the grocery store, I get me a Basil Hayden bottle because it looks like a champagne bottle. It looks like something that you would celebrate because it stands out. And so I get this bottle of Basil Hayden, take it back home. I didn't even have a glass. I had to pour it into a paper cup. And it was so disappointing. The last night in my last house, the home where I raised my children, I drank Basil Hayden. And I frowned. It was so sad. It was so disappointing. It was such a waste of time. I just poured it down the drain and went to sleep. Basil Hayden tastes flat. It has no taste to it. It's a great selling product, but I don't know who's buying it. Basil Hayden, it's like Arby's. Again, this is all just done in fun, with a smile. I don't mean to offend anyone. Please like, please subscribe, comment your feedback, your input. Let me know if you're agreeing with this list so far, because it's about to get worse. The next whiskey is Jack Daniels. Now I'm talking about Jack Daniels number 7. I love Jack Daniels single barrel proof. It's in my top 10. But the number 7 is horrible. Now, most of you, I can already hear you typing, it goes great with Coke, Pepsi. What you're saying is you want to drink Coke, but you want to add alcohol to it. And that's where the Jack Daniels comes in. Listen, I'm 44 years old. I'm not drinking Jack and Coke anymore. The way my health is set up, the way my body is set up, there's no more Jack and Cokes for me. And so if the only way you'll drink this product is if you mix it with Coke, at some point you gotta admit it's not a good product. If there's anyone out there who can say I drink Jack Daniels neat, please comment. Send me a picture and I'll send you a bottle of Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels number 7, if you are starting out, is probably a bottle you should avoid. And the last whiskey on this list, I did a video and I want you to check that out. It's called The Best Scotch for bourbon drinkers. The last whiskey on this list, and so I called out Buffalo Trace, I called out Sazerac, I called out Basil Hayden, I called out Jack Daniels. The last whiskey is an entire category. It's Scotch. Now, I love Scotch. I've got Ardbeg Ugadale, and I've got Compass Box Hedonism. I loved Johnny Walker Black and Johnny Walker Blue. But other than a handful of Scotch, Scotch is horrible. I know why it tastes the way it tastes. I know the malted barley and the peat and the Islay and the ocean air. I know all of that. But if we're being honest with ourselves, it's horrible. It doesn't taste good. Ardbeg Ugadale, I love it. I know it smells like gasoline, but it's done right. It's aged in a sherry cask. And so Scotch can be done right, but it usually isn't. And so 99% of Scotch that you're gonna pick up, that Lafroig, they don't taste good. And so the fifth whiskey on this category, even though I love some Scotch, but if I'm gonna be honest, because 99% of it is bad, I've gotta throw in the whole lot. I gotta throw away the baby with the bathwater. Scotch is not good. And so those are the 5 whiskeys to avoid: Buffalo Trace, Sazerac, Basil Hayden, Jack Daniels, and Scotch. Hit dislike. Please remain subscribed. The videos will get more honest, but they'll get better. Thanks for watching. Check out our Instagram. And today for our conversation, I want to leave you with this. Pain is a better motivator than pleasure. If you are trying to get to that next level, if you are trying to get that promotion, finish that degree, get your body in shape, you've been going after pleasure. You've been using pleasure to motivate you. But a better motivator is pain. I want you to think about your life if you don't get the promotion. Think about yourself starving and your children starving. Think about your body if you don't get it in shape. Think about laying on a hospital bed, heart attacks, prescriptions. Think about how painful life is going to be if you don't do what you're supposed to do. You see, the problem with using pleasure as a motivator is it's fleeting. It's not strong enough. Some days it'll get you going and some days it won't. But if you want to get to that next level, then you've got to use pain as your motivator. Every day that I rise and grind, I get up at 5:30 a.m. and when I think about laying in bed, I think about something painful. I think about that painful day when I was hungry. I think about that painful night as I slept in an abandoned building. I think about the pain that I've gone through in life. And I use that as my motivation to get up. Pain is a greater motivator than pleasure. And if you've got to get yourself over the hump, get yourself back in the gym, get yourself working overtime. Use pain as your motivator. Rise and grind.